what I want to talk about is how to learn a tune. And actually, that's too simple. What I really want to talk about is how to know a tune so well that you can confidently play it with ease, reflecting what's in your musical imagination, all the right notes according to your criteria for what right notes are. But how to learn a tune is the shorthand for it. And I did this webinar a week ago, but I realized that I could probably do it a lot quicker, more efficiently, and put some of the visuals in without, hunting for the screen share on Zoom. So let me just give you my thoughts on how to, deeply command a tune. And I guess the real word is deeply hear a tune, because everything I'm going to talk about is about how to hear the tune so well that you can stand up and play it. And it really doesn't matter what key it is in, but obviously standard keys and the keys you practice it in are more helpful. But I'm going to also explain that being able to start on any of the 12 notes and just at least play the melody is one of the steps toward learning a tune really well. And, part of what made me think about this, although I've written about this in the past and done videos on it in the past, is a new platform that I'm creating called Standards Simplified. And it's a work in progress, but I'm very happy with what I've been able to create and then replicate for various standards that are really great exercises for helping you hear the tune, because that's really what we're talking about. You have to hear the tune. I'm not talking about memorizing the chords and knowing where each chord goes and what scale to play over each chord. That's fine. You can do that. But what I really hope for you is that you'll hear the tune so deeply and the harmony so deeply that you can make your way through it very easily. I sometimes use the analogy of driving. So when you get in your car and you're going to go to the grocery store, and assuming you've lived where you are for a while now and you've gone to the grocery store a few hundred times, you don't need to think about the roads. You could do it in your sleep, although we don't want you to drive while you're asleep. But you know exactly when you start your car, your mind, your subconscious at least, knows exactly the route you're about to take and what it looks like and where the high traffic areas are. You know that route backwards and forwards. You don't need a map. And I look at playing over tunes the same way. The lead sheet is a map, and you need a map to start, but certainly you shouldn't need a map when you're doing routine driving. And I'm hoping for you that playing certain standards, at least in terms of knowing the chords, is routine. So let's talk about some of the ways to develop that facility. And I think the first step is to take whatever tune you're going to learn. Let's talk about standards, since that's kind of what I've been working on. And for this video, let's look at the tune Tangerine. And if we look at the form is A, B, a variation on A, and then we're going to call it C. So we'll say A, B, A, C, even though you could call this A, B, C, D. It's, but for the most part, the bars 17 through 24 are similar to 1 through 8. So we know the form, we know the key, it's in F major concert. We now scan for any tricky parts. What could be difficult here? And the thing that pops up is the modulation to A major. You see that's basically leading up with the B half diminished D7 to the A major that goes for 2 bars, and then it comes back, transitions back into F major. So that's something we've got to keep our ears open for and practice a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we know the form, we know the key, we have a sense of the map. We know where we're going. We know the one part that could trip us up. And now the next step is to learn the melody, because for most tunes, the melody is like the best the best use of notes over the harmony. So we have to know the melody, and part of that also is when you are first learning to improvise on a tune, paraphrasing the melody is a great way to work your way into a full improvisation. In fact, if you listen to classic albums, classic jazz albums, you'll hear some of the solos were paraphrases of the melody. So that's the next thing. We want to learn the melody. And we don't want to just learn it and memorize the notes. So the first note is this, and we want to be able to hear it so well that if we say start on G, start on F sharp, start on D, we can make our way through the melody because we haven't memorized it. We're hearing it. So make sure you learn the melody, and obviously I'm going to say learn it without looking at the notes, right? So, at a certain point in your practicing, you're going to play Tangerine and you're going to noodle around with the melody a little bit, and then you're going to move to another note that's, somewhat close to the other notes so that the range doesn't become too low or too high, depending on your instrument. And at that point, we want to now learn the harmony. And the best way that I know of for a single note instrumentalist, which I'm not talking to you if you play piano or guitar, but the best way to learn is to be able to sit at a keyboard and play. And I have a course on that called Piano Comping for Non-Piano Players that I highly recommend. And in that course, I talk about how to be able to play an entire tune with one bass note and two notes in the right hand. Now, the purpose of this is not to sell you on my course. You're welcome to get it if you want, but the point I really want to make is that to encourage you to have some skill. Now, maybe you play guitar, and that's great, but have some skill and maybe, have an inexpensive keyboard that you can noodle around with. But the point here is to be able to play the harmony, hear it, sing the melody while you're playing the harmony. So at the very least, let's say two notes in the right hand, one bass note in the left hand, and on Tangerine, it's like. So all I'm really playing there is a third and a seventh, alternating thirds and sevenths. Now, it works really easily on a tune like this or Autumn Leaves or, simple tunes, but you can do this on any tune. And like I said, I highly recommend it. Now, the next step is to be able to exercise your imagination, to be able to hear the harmony. And Richie Byrek and I had an interesting conversation. I recorded a video, I'll play it in a second, where Richie talks about being able to just turn the lights off, sit by yourself in a dark room, and hear the tune.
The second way to find yourself and to find your playing style on any instrument, sit in your chair, turn off the phone, no lights on, preferably late at night. Close your eyes. It's good to do this at night when there's nobody else in the house or sleeping or activity outside, because you don't want distractions. This takes very sensitive, meditative kind of concentration. What I'm going to ask you to do is sit in the chair with your eyes closed and pick a tune that you love, like Nardis or Footprints or Solar or any great tune. Not a hard tune, or Maiden Voyage. You know the tune like you know your name. And start the tune in your mind's ear, in the inner ear of yourself. Don't sing it, don't play it, imagine it. Imagine the head, really play it, go through it in time. And then take a solo in your ear. Imagine hearing the solo. What happened to me was I was startled because it felt great. creative things I never played before. I never dreamed. Why? Why couldn't I do that at the piano? The instrument. The instrument, you spend so much time with the instrument that sometimes it plays you.
That goes back to the whole roadmap thing, right? If I say to you, imagine you're driving out of your home and getting to the grocery store, you can pretty much imagine the turns and what that all looks like. And I'm suggesting you do the same with these tunes. Now, as an intermediate step for that, one of the exercises I give you in Standards Simplified, one of the audio tracks, is I play a certain amount of the rhythm and then I stop. And I'm encouraging you to then imagine what the harmony sounds like going forward from where I stopped. And I typically stop for 2 bars. I think there could be sections for 4 bars. And I'll give you a great example in Tangerine because it's so important that we hear that modulation from F major to A major. And one way to do that, so, if I'm in that area, I'm playing the F major. Now, let's try and imagine what that A major sounds like. So if I'm going back to the same place, okay, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to give you a little bit of a lead into that. So I'm going to go. Do you hear that? Let me do it without the little echo thing here, right? So I'm going to go. Can you hear the A major? And that's a very important exercise. So what I suggest, and maybe you're just stopping iReal Pro, you're stopping Band in the Box, you're stopping a play along you have at that point, just to see if when it stops you can hear in the back of your mind. And I think if you can, getting to that A major in the case of Tangerine is easy. It's not hard because you're hearing it now. It's not a surprise that, oh my God, I know that there's this funky key coming up and I never really hit it. And thankfully it only lasts for, 2 or 3 bars and I'll fake my way through it. We don't want that, right? And you can do this on every tune. Pretty much every tune has a certain challenge. Maybe it's the bridge. Maybe it's, I don't know, it's some modulation in the tune. And the key is to be able to hear that modulation without the harmony being played. Okay. So I think this is my best advice for how to learn a tune so well that you can stand up with confidence and play melodically through it. Now, I'll give you a little checklist on things to listen for, because one of the things I'm going to recommend is you record yourself playing over these tunes and then listening back and, giving yourself a fair evaluation of how you did. Or give it to your teacher or give it to a friend and ask for their evaluation. And I'll give you a little checklist on the things that I'm suggesting you look for. Number 1, is there a variety in the range? Or are you just kind of playing in your octave or less comfort zone? 2, is there a variety in articulations? Is everything you play do 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 do, or is there interest by varying the articulation? 3, are there rests? Is there space within your solo? Or again, are you and seeing how many notes you can fill up in the space? Unfortunately, that's a little about what jazz has become these days, it seems, is to just see how many notes we can play. But my advice is to be searching for melody rather than note quantity, okay? The next next thing I'm asking about is the variety of intervals. You know, this is all kind of relating because again, I can go do 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 do, but you know, does your melody consist of interesting leaps up, down, in intervals? You know, that creates emotion. You know, you're playing something and then you go up an octave, right? That definitely heightens the emotion. The next thing is there a variety of dynamics? Is everything within that range of loudness? Or, you know, as you go up, are you building and you're going down and resting? I mean, this is you know, musicality 101. Listen to the great symphonies of the world. They are not all at one dynamic level. They're not all at one interval level. So, you know, listen for the variety within all of these characteristics. And in the end, how melodically are you playing? Are you making interesting melodies? And I contend that the better you know a tune, the more melodic your improvisation is going to be. So check out Standards Simplified and use some of these tools and some of the advice that I give you within each of these standards to heighten your ability to play over these tunes, not just learn the tune, but really master it. Thanks.